This is a topic that I know has been top of mind for all of you, and was something that I heard from many of you during my campaign. I spent a lot of time talking to people about how the virus has impacted their lives, their families' lives, and their livelihoods. I heard from grieving family members or friends that they lost loved one they lost to pandemic. I want you to know that I grieve with you. I heard many concerns from you about how the pandemic is impacting your daily life. After seeing the lens this administration has gone to protect Edmontonians, and after hearing Dr. Sakura from Alberta Health Services speak passionately about the work they have done, I'm confident that I can say this. This virus is real. It is devastating, and we have to do something to stop it. I have said before that this is a crisis we are facing, and those who stand in the way of stopping that crisis are harming themselves and each other. I do know there's a great deal of work yet to be done before the fight against this virus can be stopped. Today's presentation to Council showed me one very important thing. We have a strong understanding of what can be done and what needs to be done at the municipal level to fight the virus. Recently, administration took the steps of requiring all city employees to be vaccinated. I fully support this decision. As one of Edmonton's largest employers, we have a responsibility to protect our employees and all Edmontonians. I'm proud of the thousands and thousands of city employees who got the shot if they were able to. They have done their part to protect themselves, their families, and the people who work next to them on a daily basis. I also want to take a moment to thank our new council for continuing to take this pandemic seriously. Just a short time ago, council voted unanimously to amend our city's mask bylaw to ensure the continued safety of Edmontonians, making it clear that protecting each other is a priority for us all. I want to thank each and every Edmontonian who followed all of the health orders since the start of the pandemic, highlighting the compassion and empathy you have for each other. Today's amendment to the mask bylaw ensures masks or face coverings will continue to be worn in our city until we determine it is safe to no longer do so. One thing has been made incredibly clear to me during this pandemic, that is, this virus is not going away anytime soon. Even though we are just at the start of this council's term, we already know this may be an issue that defines our legacy for years from now. We need to determine how we as a city are going to recover from this pandemic and have this city come back stronger than ever. I'm up for the challenge. I know my council colleagues are as well. Thank you, and for I'll pass over to our city manager, Mr. Corbould, before we take any questions. We won't be taking any questions.
Thank you, Mayor Sohi. This morning's Emergency Advisory Committee was an opportunity for City Administration to provide Council with some background on the response to COVID. And this afternoon, Council used that information to provide additional direction. I will quickly review some of the information we provided. The City is participating in the Restrictions Exemption Program where appropriate. This means that we have been able to reopen recreation centers and aquatic facilities and bring back programs that help Edmontonians stay healthy and well. We're also continuing to run transit service as we have throughout the pandemic, and while ridership levels are at about 55% of usual levels, we are operating the full service. The city recently introduced the mandatory vaccination program for its employees, and as of November 1st, 94% of more than 11,000 city staff have been fully or partially vaccinated. Approximately 660 employees are participating in rapid testing, and 41 employees are on unpaid leave. Previously, we had announced that city employees would be returning to office spaces in mid-November. Because the provincial work from home order is still in place, we have extended that date until January 4th. More than 70% of city staff are always working on site, whether that's in the bus, at the fire station, at the arena, or on our roadways. The remaining 30% will return in the new year, and they will be able to work in hybrid working arrangements. They will be encouraged to come in before, if that public order ends sooner than anticipated. This morning, administration flagged one important upcoming decision about the temporary mandatory face covering bylaw. It was set to expire on December 31st, or after 10 consecutive days of COVID-19 rates below. The trigger of 10 consecutive days was set before the fall election, as it would have allowed for the deactivation without the need for council to meet formally during our government transition. Council wanted to address the uncertainty promptly, and it did so this afternoon by passing amendments, and the city's bylaw does indeed remain in place. In December, we will bring forward bylaw options that council may wish to use at some time in the future. For now, the provincial mask order also remains in place, and the city's bylaw remains in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, City Manager. We have two media outlets joining us today. We'll have time for one question and one follow-up from each. First, we'll go to Dustin Cook with Post Media. Go ahead, Dustin.
Hi, sorry, I do not have a question. But thank you very much anyway.
Okay, thank you, Dustin. Then we'll go to Natasha Reeb with CBC.
Hey, Chris, I can hardly hear you. I'm not quite sure. Andre's fine, though, it seems, so just to give you a heads up. Andre, what's the best way to describe what council decided this afternoon for the mask bylaw?
Is that for me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the question. From my perspective, it provides very much certainty and maintaining the course of being the safest we can here in the city of Edmonton, and provides that certainty that folks need.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, it looks to me, removing the thresholds and the end date now, however, more of that could come later, feels like, what do you mean by certainty, I guess?
Yes, well, currently with the bylaw set, it could have been deactivated on relatively short order in a few days. What this does is ensure that that does not happen accidentally or just by a trigger, but rather council has the opportunity to look at all the considerations, all the medical advice as we get closer to the date in which the original bylaw was going to be repealed or ended at the end of December. That's clear that that's needed now because of the state of the public health emergency that we're in. And so I think what council did was a very prudent decision to maintain that public safety throughout the city of Edmonton. And the mayor may wish to comment.
Yeah, it's absolutely clear that we send a strong message to Edmontonians that the steps they have taken over the last number of months and they continue to take are keeping our communities safe. And having a mask mandate bylaw in place helps us do that. Because of the 100 cases per 100,000 population trigger would have kicked in few days, that would have led to the expiry of this bylaw. So today's decision allows this bylaw to continue, to give that certainty and predictability and require Edmontonians to continue to wear it so that we can protect each other.
Thank you. Natasha, do you have a follow-up question?
Well, I thought I already had, but I suppose just to put it into context, you know, the upcoming discussion in December, we're looking at possibly the discussion about yet another set of conditions, and that could cause, I don't know, maybe a little bit of concern or anxiety for some people. In a nutshell, could you put that into context for us too? Like, we're not going to keep revisiting conditions after conditions after conditions. Like, yeah, what's the conversation in December, I guess, going to do for the city?
So in December, administration will come back with a set of criteria or triggers for council to consider to be included in the bylaw. So there's a certainty for Edmontonians to understand that if these triggers are met, then we no longer will require the mask bylaw to continue. But that is to be determined when the report comes to council in December. But at this time, the message we want to convey to Edmontonians is that please continue to wear the mask, continue to protect each other, and the extension of this bylaw allows us to enforce this condition when there are violations if people are not wearing. So that certainty and predictability it continues with the extension of the bylaw today. But the future triggers will be debated in December and possibly included in the bylaw moving forward. But at this time, this bylaw continues as it is now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.